I've had this slide sitting up here all while you're eating. I hope it hasn't disturbed you, but you're probably wondering what it's all about. So let's talk right now about what it's about. This is the hardest time ever to speak to any group because everyone's about ready to go to sleep. I'm just an overgrown child. I'll be 62 fairly soon, but that doesn't mean I'm grown up. I like to play games like connecting the dots just as much as a little child would. So today we're going to connect the dots between airway changes, altered oral posture, unbalanced facial growth, and I'm going to add another one in here, temperament inhibitor disorders, and obstructive sleep apnea. I really have to acknowledge people who've gotten me here. I've been very gifted to have some great mentors in my life, not the least of which was Brendan Stack. I was reading his CV and I noticed that I was attending his course in April of 1986 in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Frankly, I thought he was way out there at the time. I didn't want to treat TMJ cases. It looked too difficult for me. I just didn't want to screw people up. Over the years, I learned more and more, and I'm glad that for those of you who haven't taken his course, you really should take his course. Fly down to Dulles Airport in 2 weeks because it's worth it. I've taken it and it's absolutely worth your time. I love this slide because it really says it all for me. I'm here not because of any great intelligence that I have, just because I'm very stubborn and I want to find out answers, and I've been on a lot of airplanes. I, at age 15, decided to become a dentist, having no idea what I was getting into. I really do believe it's the best profession I could possibly have made the decision to enter, and I believe there is a pot of gold at the end of both ends of the rainbow. We just have to find it. And so I'm going to share with you ideas of what I think dentistry is and where it should go, and I think you'll find it rather interesting. Now, some of you may, by the time I'm done, may think that my ideas should end up here, and I take full responsibility for them. They are my ideas. Hopefully not. But I hope that you're going to stay awake, because that animal that you saw there, to connect the dots, we're actually going to connect the dots later on. So you're supposed to stay here in suspense to see actually what happens when we connect the dots. This profile norm right here superimposes on glabella and the bridge of the nose and helps us see how far a face has deviated from the norm. So this is what we know as the Bolton norm. This is what the face should look like. Now, for those of you who have children who have lips apart like this, your children's faces don't look like this. And most of the people in this room don't have their face looking like this either. We'll talk about that. The ancient Chinese knew that people who had no chin were not going to live a long life. And here we are talking about it, and what I'm saying to you is, I don't believe that someone who has this much of a deviation from where he ought to be is going to live to a ripe old age. But doesn't it? So, is the facial meltdown in our society inevitable, preventable? And once we have it, can we reverse it? Because let's be honest, none of us are going to be real happy if this is our daughter. Let's switch directions here just a little bit and talk about sleep apnea. And a guy who lives in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, John Rimmers, a Harvard-trained physician who coined the term obstructive sleep apnea, tells us that it'll be the most common chronic disease in all industrialized countries. And how many of you knew that hadn't heard him speak? Everything's better with more forward tooth movement. But in our society, that's not going to get you a lot of accolades. Not in the orthodontic community. I'm saying to you that retraction of teeth is never a good idea. That's a strong word, isn't it? Never. But I put it there because I mean it. Not because I just think it's a good word, just to get your attention. I mean that. Because everybody has a snore button. Behind the lower incisors is a position where the lower incisor teeth can be. If I push the teeth back enough, someone's going to snore. I don't know where that is. I can't see it. But I know it's there because I listen to my patients. And everybody also has an OSA button. You push the teeth back just enough, and now the patient's going to stop breathing. Wow, are you willing to take that risk? I don't know where that button is. And how long do you have to have the OSA button operating before it becomes the death button and you exit planet Earth early? John Mew is probably the brightest orthodontist to ever live, and most people don't know who he is. How many here have heard him speak? Good, good, good. He's my mentor, and he's influenced my life since 1990. So I'm going to share some ideas with him. He says that altered oral posture, usually secondary to airway issues, causes facial growth to fall short of the ideal.